Now, I don't know what it is specifically about the rear lights of these cars that I don't like. I just don't like them. There is something about the cheaper end of classic British sports cars where the lights just don't look very good. They're better than the MG lights, don't get me wrong, I can't stand the MG vertical lights, but these ones, they're just, I don't know. They're just a bit dull, aren't they? They're just a bit boring. But I have a plan. Oh yeah. For the pricely sum of £10, we found someone with a pair of light clusters. So for a tenner with free delivery, you can't really go wrong, can you? It's not even worth me pulling the old ones off for that sort of money. And obviously the advantage of this is that I can, once I'm done, I have these ones as spares. Or I can sell them on again, make my money back. So, second-hand light clusters, exactly what you'd expect. Perfect for what I need. However, to put my plan in action, I can't be here. I need to be done in the workshop because there's something very specific that I need. So, let's go to the workshop. Oh, I know, right? Special effects. Well, I'm in the workshop. Probably time to explain what we're actually doing. So I've said I don't like the rear lights, or the rear panel. I'm going to probably spray in the rear panel black. But the lights I do like are ones like this. Classic Mustang lights. So the sort of three vertical cells, if you like. I just think with the chrome bezel, I just think they look really nice. Now, excuse me, clearly I can't do that with the Spitfire because the back panel is too narrow. I can't put any kind of vertical thing in there, it's too narrow. Plus I'd have to remake all of the light clusters themselves, which is going to be an absolute ball ache. So instead, all I'm going to do is make a bezel that fits over the existing lights. So I'm only going to take the existing lights off. This one's going to fit on top of it perfectly. A nice chrome bezel with individual sections in it to section the lights off. So it looks a little bit more, you know, 60s muscle car-esque. That's the plan. And if you're going to make a bezel that fits over an existing light cluster, the easiest way to do it, to ensure a good fit, is to actually vacuum form over the top of an existing cluster. And for those of you that have no idea what a vacuum forming machine is, this is one. So it's about the same size as a commercial fridge freezer. You have a heating element on the top. I'll show you all this in real time in a minute. Heating element with the dials. This thing is a big oven. This thing slides forward and backwards. We take a sheet of plastic. We clamp it in by way of these clamps. Boom. Clamp it down against the bed here. You then put your buck or your mould into the centre. These are our existing bucks and moulds that we use for work. Once they're in the middle, you throw the lever back. It drops the buck down inside, keeps it out of the way. You then clip your plastic in on top where you see the white plastic in there now. You bring the heating elements forward, which heat the plastic, start to liquefy it. Once the plastic is turned nice and soft, we then yank the lever back up, which pushes the buck up into the plastic, making the shape, and then we hit the green button, which pulls on the vacuum. That sucks all the air out from between the buck and the plastic and gives it a good shrinks the plastic down on top of your mould. That's pretty much it. That's the sort of thing we use for making our colonial marine armour, like this. If I grab it. All of this is vacuum formed plastic. And you can see this shoulder bell that we're looking at here. The mould for that one is here. So a nice big solid lump of resin. Pull the plastic down on top of that and come along with a knife, trim it out. And that makes one part of your armour. And all the other parts are here. So in a nutshell, that's vacuum forming. Getting a sheet of plastic very hot, pushing a mould up into it, using a vacuum to suck the air out from between the two, giving you a nice tight fit over your mould. This process allows you to make relatively complex shapes, compound curves, etc., and do them repeatedly, one on top of another, as an industrial process. Industrial vacuum formers will be completely automated. You'll put sheets of plastic in a hopper, it will heat itself for the allotted time, the things come up, the plastic comes down, vacuum, thing pops off, throws it to one side, next sheet gets heated, comes down, and so on and so forth. It's not injection moulding, okay, which is something different, which uses two dyes. This is something different. And you see it a lot used in plastics for making things like, I don't know, you know the lining you get in a tray of biscuits, all the little sections in there, all the different shapes for the biscuits, that sort of thing. And in our corner of the world, costume building. Because again, like I say, it's a repeatable process. Once you made the buck, which is the hard part, making your mould, once you've made the mould, if you've made it right and you look after it, you can use that mould hundreds, thousands of times again. And all you're doing each time is just putting more plastic on top of it. Anyway, so. However, before we start getting hot plastic on anything, we need to get this thing prepped and ready for forming. Now there's a few rules we need to follow when it comes to vacuum forming. The first and most important rule is to make sure there are no undercuts or return edges. A prime example would be this pot, or any kind of flower shaped pot. If we were to try and vacuum form this pot this way, with the plastic on top coming down, as you can see, it tapers in this way like a flower pot, which means once the plastic goes around that, you can't get this out without cutting it and taking it out. Whereas if we vacuum form it that way around, stay, now the edges taper like this, which means when the plastic goes down over the top, it can pop back out again. So that's the one thing you need to be very mindful of when you're vacuum forming. How am I going to get my original buck, not a mould? You pour into a mould, a buck goes into the other way around. How am I going to get it out again? Some shapes are very easy to come out, some shapes are very difficult. The shallower the object is, the easier it comes out. When you get very deep objects, the plastic likes to, because it's vacuum formed and shrunk on, it likes to grab on, which can be a bit of a nightmare. You have to start beating the crap out of it to get it out. Anyway, so this light in itself is pretty good. It's a nice shallow depth. However, there's all this stuff on the back, which we don't want. This needs to lay flat on the bed. If I was to put this on the vacuum forming bed as it is, now we've got a massive undercut. The plastic is going to come down here, suck underneath, and I'm going to have to cut the entire thing out, and it's going to go very, very badly. So the first thing I need to do is to get rid of all of this, the stuff on the bottom below the chrome line. With a light cluster, that's obviously very easy. We can unscrew all the individual cells from the back. We can get rid of this thing, and this is the bit we want. We can now form over this. Now these are all loose, but these can be cleaned up, they can be taped together, and they will make a nice buck. The only problem with this is, if you look at the shape, notice it's flat across here, and then at the end it curves, because it curves around the body, and you can see this in the indicator lens. See the way it's curved towards the inside of my hand? And that causes us a problem, because now that doesn't want to sit flat on the bed. She's got a bit of rocker to her. So I'm probably going to have to do something with that before I form on top of it. Otherwise it's going to cause me problems. That, and of course they need a very good clean. Now whilst the dirt is actually on the inside of the lens, and you think, well that's not a problem James, it's on the inside of the lens. The problem is, when I pull a vacuum, the vacuum is going to want to suck all of this from the outside and go down into the inside. There are filters inside this machine, but I don't want to put dirt into it needlessly because it's an absolute sod to get into. So grab a can of WD and some rag, and we're going to go inside and clean all this crap out so these are nice and smooth to begin with, nice and clean. Okay, machine is on and warming up. So as you can see, we've taken all our lenses out. We've taped them together because obviously they are 3 individual lenses, and if I don't do that, there's a chance that when I pull the plastic over it, they all just scoot off in their own directions. So a little bit of tape around it, and to cure the problem with it pitching down the side, all I've done is put a drill bit underneath it. That drill bit is enough now that when the plastic sucks down onto it, there's no rocker left in this. It means the plastic will still suck underneath a little bit, but that's fine. That will just get trimmed off afterwards. Otherwise, because it's got a rocker on that corner, if I don't prop up in the middle, that middle bit will actually do that. It will suck itself down, and then it'll be the wrong shape. I need it to be like that, not like that. Because it ain't going to fit on the car, and that'd be stupid. So that's put on the bed, ready to go. There's a few other bits that we've got, just because I don't want to waste all that bed space. I have got another light there. I just can't be bothered to strip that one down, clean it, tape it, and do all the same thing I've done to this one. I'm just going to do this one twice. They are obviously symmetrical, left and right. So a few other bits on the bed with it, just so we're not wasting plastic. Get this thing nice and hot, a couple of minutes, and then she will be good to go. I'm just going to move it inboard ever so slightly. Like that. And that's good. So once all your bits are on your bed, you grab your lever, you drop the bed down, bonk. Then we grab our sheet of plastic. Make sure which side has got the cellophane on. One side always has a cellophane on it. That side wants to face up. That gets dropped onto our seal. Make sure it's in the middle. Not easy to do when you're holding a camera, excuse me. Once we're happy the plastic's in the middle, we can then bring the locking cage down. Moving our timer out of the way. Excuse me. Clip that on nice and tight. That's our plastic ready to go. And then as soon as this thing is hot, we just slide her over and she starts heating this, and we do use our little timer. There's a load of elements underneath that. Can't see them from the top, but there's a load of ceramic elements all in like a pattern on the outside of that. And we'll get this thing nice and hot, and then we will stick it out and see what happens. So I'm going to let this heat up for another couple of minutes, and I'll bring you back when we're ready to start sucking. Okay, timer has started, and if you look underneath there, see the plastic getting soft. Soft starts to buckle, and then you'll notice as we're watching it, it's actually starting to smooth out and become very liquid-like. That's exactly what we want. Okay, time's up, let's go. Stop the timer, push the bed out of the way, pull our molds up, pull our vacuum. That's enough. Hit the blower. That puts air back into it, which allows you to knock all your molds out. Break the seal. Take that off, and as you can see, this isn't going to release because it's now undercut. That shape's good. As you can see, it's picked up all the little details, all the screw holes and everything in it, and the reflector, but most of that's going to get trimmed out anyway. I could have gone around and filled all those holes and filled this up, but again, I want this lens to be reused if possible, so I don't want to do anything to it unless I have to. So I am now going to fight with this for the next 10 minutes and try and get it out of here. So, actually came out easier than I thought. And you can see the detail capture on here. All of the Lucas stuff, all the writing. And that is our first bezel done. So I'm just going to leave this to cool down, because obviously this is warm. This is made of plastic. And we don't want to make it too warm, because guess what's going to happen to that plastic? The heat will transfer from that plastic to that plastic, and next time you pull it, the vacuum is so strong in this, it will actually start to warp and pull those in, which we don't want. There we go. There's our two bezels out and trimmed. And as we can see, if we offer them up to the original light, obviously they're going to be a perfect fit, as you would expect. So I just now need to do some doodling or cut some paper templates or something out so I can decide what I want to do, because I still don't know. Okay, the way I see it, I got three options. The problem is there are four sections to the light: reverse, reflector, tail light, indicator. Of course, two of them are different sizes. These two are small, these two are big. So I can either divide it up evenly into 6, so cut 6 strips out. I hasten to add, all these cuts actually will go down onto the edge a little bit and come around and go back over, so they'll actually be longer than they look here, because I want the light to come out the bottoms. I could do it as 6. It'll be a bit of a pig to fit them in because of the spacing down here in the reflector, because what I don't want obviously is you to be able to see a different colour on the wrong side of the strip, if that makes sense. So like down here, it'd be great if I could push them all down this way a bit more to get more space at that end, but I can't, because as you can see there, the edge of the reflector is there. So you're gonna see one colour go from one side to the other. So that needs to square off to the reflector like that, which means it throws my spacing out a bit. And when I get down to this end, if I follow that same space all the way down, when I come to this end, I can't do it unless I remove the last one and make a little triangular one, which is an option. But I was thinking we either do 6, or we do 2 skinny ones and 2 big ones, like that. I'm not as keen on that because I like symmetry, and whilst it'll, the colours will be right, clear, red, orange, I'm not sure I can live with 2 different sizes in the same cluster. Or we just go with 3, like your Mustang. Something more like that. I can't decide. I think it'll probably, the only reason I would normally hands down go for this one, the only thing I don't like is that obviously this one is going to have 2 colours in it. You're going to have clear and red within one colour, which is a bit annoying. But in terms of symmetry, that I think is best. What do you think? It doesn't matter what you think, because I'm just going to do what I'm going to do, aren't I? So I don't know. I think this is going to be easy. Well, the other way of looking at it is if I do this and then I find it annoys the hell out of me, I can always make more of these. I've still got the light, I've still even kept the tape on it. I can easily whip that off and throw it back onto the vacuum forming bed again. That's not an issue. So I think I've talked myself into doing 3. Okay, I've got to do something. And I got the laborious job of trimming them out. Cutting them out with a cutting wheel on the Dremel, and then sanding them down. And this is going to take a while. Right, so this gives you an idea what they're going to look like. They're not finished yet, they're not painted, I haven't finished sanding them down yet. Some of the lines need tidying up a little bit, like over here, a little bit skew-whiff. However, that's the sort of overall look thing we're going for. They're not stuck on, they're just pushed on. Now you can see that the orange of the indicator comes through on this side. I had to do that in order to keep the spacing uniform between them. If I didn't do that, I would have pushed everything over and it just wouldn't look right. So all I'm going to do is, I'll probably put a bit of black tape on the actual light itself underneath the bezel, just to hide that little bit of orange. That's what I'm thinking. That's the only bit I think spoils it. So, I need to tidy up a couple of these lines. Then we're going to wet sand it, scuff it with Scotch-Brite, prime it, gloss black it, silver spray it. And we'll get as close as we can to chrome with a rattle can. As close as you can get, realistically. Stage 1. Grey primer. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, seems a lot of work, James, considering you've cut 99% of the material away. Yep, there is that. That did sort of cross my mind as well, that what I'm left with I probably could have almost done with just a bit of silver tape. But, you know, we're in it now, aren't we? What am I going to do? And of course, as I said before, I've still got the lights. I can quite happily stick them on again, make a different design, cut some different shaped slots. Who knows? I'm open to ideas, guys. You got any ideas? You let me know. If you're thinking, oh, I got a good idea, why don't you do like the sort of Mopar style? Did cross my mind the Dodge ones as well, where they're more of a horizontal thing with a single thing. That did cross my mind as well. But, you know, it's quite awkward using existing lights. The correct way would just be to get rid of the lights. Just put different lights in there. Completely. But obviously trying to find something that's going to fit. Taking the old ones out, drilling new holes. I just, you know, didn't want to do that much work to it really. I just wanted to I could clip over it to go, ooh, that looks quite nice, and leave it at that. But anyway, we'll see. Primer on, gloss black. If you're going to spray something silver, you always want to spray it gloss black first to get a nice shine to it. So that's what we're going to do. Gloss black and then silver. See how these look. Not bad. Not bad at all. Are they chrome? No. No, they're not chrome. They are very much silver. Get them outside in the daylight. I've never yet seen a paint that looks like chrome. There are some good ones you can get. Turn my fan off here a sec. There are some good chrome paints you can get. The best one I've ever seen is Alclad Chrome, but it's ungodly expensive. Little tiny little pots of it. These are for airbrushing. And provided you've got a really highly polished black gloss base, and I do mean highly polished, like see your face in it, it comes out really, really nicely. It does come out like 90% chrome, but for off-the-shelf paints, you can get chrome, silver, this and that, and they never are, because it's very, very hard to get a reflective finish without actually chroming it. So they look alright. For me, they look alright. So I've got to leave them alone now and let them go completely dry, because normally I'll just give them 5 minutes, grab hold of them, stick them on, because I can't, I just can't wait, because I'm impatient. But I'm going to be patient with these ones. I'm going to leave them alone, and then I'm going to very, very carefully take them home, put them on the car, see what they look like. I don't know how I'm going to attach them yet. The good thing with vacuum forming is obviously you have literally sucked it down over the existing light, so it's going to be a very, very good fit by its very nature. It's, but I don't want to put any screws or anything like that in it. I don't want to do anything that's going to damage it, so what I'll probably do is use some 3M double-sided tape and put it down the vertical strips, and then just ease it onto the light they should stay on. They shouldn't come off. And if they do come off, like I say, who cares? I can always zap some more off on the former, so it's, you know, it's no big deal. Yeah, so leave it alone now and see how it looks. And there we go. All done. Does it look like a Mustang? No, not really. Obviously the Mustang ones are all red, generally, and the retro ones anyway. And obviously they are individual cells, so you can see the bodywork between the cells. So, as I said at the start, unless you're willing to take the lights off and retrofit new lights, or make your own new lights, which means making the lenses, etc., then it's, you know, you're only ever going to get a looky-likey thing. Does it look better than the original? I think so. People will probably disagree. It's fine. I've no problem with disagreements. A lot of people don't like the look of the new front on the Spit. I get it. It's cool. It'd be boring if everyone liked the same things in the world, so I've got no problem with that whatsoever. So yeah, could I have done a much better job? Sure. I could have made my own complete custom lights. I could have vacuum formed my own lights, because you can get translucent acrylic, which you can also put on the vacuum former in the same way we put the silver plastic on. You can get translucent acrylic, so I could vacuum form my own shape lights, make my own wooden bucks, suck down over them, make my own lenses, bezels, etc. But it's a lot of work, isn't it? It's a huge amount of work, and time is money, as they say, and time's precious. So have I got the amount of time to pour into making complete new custom rear lights? No, not at this point in time anyway. So I think something like a clip-on bezel is quite a good go-between. They're not groundbreaking by any means. I've cut away most of the material, so you've only really got these silver strips left, but you know, I could do them again. I could cut away less of the material maybe to make the bezel more prominent. I don't know. But for a little weekend project, and to be fair, in terms of time, it took me 2 hours, top to bottom, to prep the light, form it, cut them out, spray them, and stick them on the car with some double-sided tape. So they're, you know, they're pretty easy, to be honest. It hasn't taken me. So there we go, guys. That's another small little job on the custom Spit. There's more stuff left to do, no doubt. I'm still in the middle of doing the fillets for the bonnet. If you watch my last videos about getting this bonnet fit right, I got gaps down the side, and I've just started doing the fillets. So I'll show you those very quickly just before we disappear. So this is the side I haven't done yet, and if I do the clip up, you can see we have a sideways finger. I can't get my finger in that way, but I can get in that way. That's or a gap down that side. But look at the other side. You can see, judging by the grey strip, that chip on the door is an old one. That was from my previous metal bonnet. I shimmed this too close, and of course when you open the door folds this way and clipped it. But you can see there that we've actually already filleted that side. I'll open it and I'll show you. So on the inside of the panel, you can see this different colour strip along the top. That's all new material. And you can see where we've sanded the old paint back, we've added our new strip in, and we've put it in primer. I'm using an airbrush to do this rather than a whatever they're called, spray gun, because obviously a big spray gun is just going to blow paint everywhere. I've got to have to mask the entire car off, it's going to blow down here. Whereas an airbrush is obviously a mini air squirter gun thing. So I can do nice detailed lines down here with something like one of these chaps. Nice and easy. As long as you thin your paint sufficiently so it will go through an airbrush, you're good. So last time we did a bit of high build primer. I'm going to wet sand that, get that nice and flat, and I've got just enough of my top coat left. It's a tiny bit in the bottom, but there's just enough in there left that I can also put that in the gun, blow that in, and hopefully you'll never know. And again, that was surprisingly easy to do, to be honest. Again, I'm not a champion fiberglasser by any means, but it was surprisingly easy to do. So yeah, so we'll do the other side as well, and then we'll get our fitment right, and that will be lovely. And after a bit of top coat, lovely. It's not half bad, is it? Not half bad. Right, leave that to dry, don't touch it. And as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, etc. As always, do appreciate it. And I'll think of something else to do with the car at some point soon, so we'll be back here again at some point soon. Until then, have fun, good luck with your projects. I'll see you soon.